So I've ridden the new R1250 GS this year and absolutely loved it. I borrowed the KTM 1290 Super Adventure and that was pretty flipping good too. And Harley have impressed everyone by bringing a credible adventure bike to the market with plenty of its own charm. But how can you truly judge them without having tried the most powerful, the most technologically advanced, and what promises to be the most exciting adventure bike of the bunch?
I mean, on the spec sheet, this bike should be the cream of the crop. For a start, you've got this V4 Gran Turismo engine. Now, it's derived from the same V4 as the Street Fighter, the Panigale, so it's got plenty of power. Not quite as much as those other two bikes. They've removed the desmodromic valve system. It sacrifices a little bit of top-end revvy power, but still 170 horsepower is loads for an adventure bike. Anyone who says that's not enough is clearly fibbing. And I'd also argue it's probably the market leader in terms of tech. Not only have you got loads of riding modes, lean sensitive rider aids owing to a 6-axis inertial measurement unit, cornering headlights, heated grips and seat, a phone stash in the tank, a 6.5-inch TFT display with phone connectivity, keyless ignition, semi-active electronically adjustable suspension with a self-leveling feature, hill hold control, wheelie control and all that good stuff. It also has a radar on the front and the rear. So the one on the front gives you active or adaptive cruise control, but I think I'm right in saying that this is the only bike on the market that has the rear radar as well. Now, I'm sure it'll be coming to other bikes, but for the meantime, this is the only one with blind spot detection. But the other thing that's really whet my appetite with this bike is the fact that it does it with a bit of flair and style. The GS, for example, has rightly earned the nickname of a tractor. The KTM, you know, it's a bit orange and insectoid looking, whereas with this, you've got something Italian and red and a bit exotic looking. Clearly, there's plenty of Ducati's sporting DNA running through this bike, and it's just one of those bikes you look at and you think, hell yes, I'd love to have a go on that. And so with that, I better make the most of my day.
And make the most of it I did, kitted out with some awesome gear from my channel sponsor Pando Moto, so a huge thanks to them. In this video, I'm wearing their Husky Core Sherpa jacket, which is perfect for this time of year as things start to cool off a little. This is my new go-to jacket for everyday riding because I just love the style of it and it's super comfy too. I'm also using their brand new Onyx gloves, which have great protection with sliders and knuckle guards. They have an awesome look to them with the perforation and ribbing, but perhaps my favorite feature is the elasticated inserts between the fingers and at the wrists, which makes them super easy to get on and off. There are links in the description to both products. But back to the Multistrada, and I hit up the motorway first to test out the adaptive cruise control.
Alright, so here we are cruising behind this van at about 60. If I switch on the cruise control with the left switchgear here, you'll see it pop up on the dash there. Hit set to maintain the current speed, so it's set to 63. And you can see that it's detected the van here because it's showing a little car icon. Even if I increase the speed of the cruise control up to 70, it's gonna just hold that position, hold that distance behind this van. But as soon as I stick on the indicators, it starts to speed up because it can see that that car in front of me has just started to pull away. And there we are, up to 70. It really does work well. It works kind of seamlessly. You don't have to think about it too much. It just slows down and speeds up as the traffic yo-yos, and I love this system. But I have to say, this isn't something I've tried on a bike before, but I think I'm more impressed with the blind spot detection. As you'll see, I've got a van starting to move up into my blind spot here, just coming past me in the middle lane there. And then on comes the amber light on the mirror. Now look, of course, you're still going to do your lifesavers when you're changing lane, but you'd have to be absolutely against advancements in motorcycle technology to deny that that's a useful visual cue.
So pretty impressive, but this is obviously more than just a motorway mile muncher, and so I turned off to find some twisty tree tunnels.
Stick it into sport mode, close the throttle to select it, and it's so ridiculously lively. Woo! Oh my gosh. That quick shifter is just ridiculously good at any revs, any throttle position. And then there's just so much power that it doesn't even matter how fast you go, and there's always more acceleration. Through the bends it's great as well. Lovely on the brakes. The suspension gives you exactly what you want from it. I just feel like you're on a big super naked. Oh my gosh. What a thing.
And then from there I headed upwards to the Man-Mole Pass for some easy gravel riding.
Look, of all the big adventure bikes, this is probably one of the least designed for off-roading, but you still do get a 19-inch front. You can upgrade to some spoke wheels as well. There is an enduro mode, dials back the ABS and traction control, and it has a serviceable standing position. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be my first choice of bike for off-roading, but for this sort of easy gravel road, it's plenty of fun.
After all that, I made my way back to Cardiff Ducati with a pretty good idea of this bike's strengths and weaknesses.
So clearly the engine is a massive standout feature on this bike. I'll put myself out there and say I don't think you'd ever be bored riding it. So much power, plenty of torque, and it just flies whatever speed you go in. I think I've also been pretty positive about the tech, especially the radar stuff. It's just really well implemented. It never got caught out today. And so for that you have to take your hats off to Ducati and Bosch. And then all in this absolutely stunning looking package. Out of all the big adventure bikes, I'd probably say this is the most visually finessed. Now clearly a big downside is the cost. If you were gonna buy this bike in this spec, this is the top spec V4 with plenty of the options on it. It's well over 20 grand, and for most people that's prohibitively high. Then you've got the fact that it does like to drink fuel, and so even though they've managed to extend the service intervals to something that's exceptional, still with the initial cost and the cost of topping up the tank, it's really going to be at the top end of the market. But the thing is, the best things in life are rarely the cheapest. If you want the most powerful adventure bike on the market, if you want some of the best tech you can buy, then clearly you're going to have to pay for it.
And that's the thing, there are always trade-offs with motorcycles. The GS, for example, is super comfy over long distances, partly owing to its telelever front suspension, but it does lack a bit of feedback when you're pushing it hard. The KTM has a more performance-orientated feel to it, but the build doesn't feel as premium as the Beamer, and the looks, they're probably not for everyone. But if you want something truly rapid, kitted out with radars, and your budget can stretch to this sort of spec, then you'd be mad not to give one a go.